Conservative leader Friedrich Merz has been elected the new German Chancellor in the second round of voting in the Bundestag.
Romania's interim president appointed the current interior minister Cătălin Prudoi as the interim prime minister after the coalition's defeat in the presidential race.
All four of Moscow's major airports were closed for hours after Ukraine launched drone attacks against the Russian capital for a second night.
Sudan's paramilitary rebel group RSF launched drone attacks on the Red Sea city of Port Sudan on Tuesday.
Conservative leader Friedrich Merz has been elected the new German Chancellor in the second round of voting in the Bundestag. His previous failure to win support in the German parliament was the first in the country's post-war history.
Friedrich Merz hat die erforderliche Mehrheit von mindestens 360.
Merz needed a majority of 316 out of 630 votes, well short of the 328 seats held by his coalition. That coalition is led by Merz's centre-right Christian Democratic Union and its Bavarian sister party, the Christian Social Union. They were joined by former Chancellor Olaf Scholz's centre-left Social Democrats. Because the first round was a secret ballot, it was not immediately clear and might never be known who had defected from Merz's camp. The far-right Alternative for Germany has demanded Merz step aside and called for fresh elections following his historic defeat.
Romania's interim president appointed Cătălin Prudoi, the current interior minister, as the country's new prime minister on Tuesday. Prudoi, a member of the National Liberal Party, will lead a caretaker government for up to 45 days with limited powers. He steps in after Marcel Ciolacu resigned on Monday, following their coalition's poor results in Sunday's presidential rerun. After casting his vote on Sunday, Prudoi said he voted for a presidency that would ensure balance and dialogue amid Romania's ongoing political turmoil.
The Prime Minister of Romania, Marcel Ciolacu, resigned because his coalition failed to propel Crin Antonescu in the final battle for the most important position in state. Romania will have an interim government until after the second round of the presidential elections, which will take place in the 18th of May. Also, we entered the electoral logic for the final round. Two parties from the government already announced that they will support Nicu Șordan, the mayor of Bucharest, the pro-Western candidate. We will see how many votes can gain George Simion, which is the president of the Alliance for the Unity of Romanians, isolationist, hard-right, pro-Trump, who obtained just over 40% in the first round. It will be a battle not between politicians, but between global visions regarding the future of Romania, towards the west or towards the east.
All four of Moscow's major airports were reportedly closed for hours after Ukraine launched a second consecutive night of drone attacks against the Russian capital. The attack comes ahead of planned celebrations in Moscow to commemorate the end of World War II. Several Russian allies, including Chinese President Xi Jinping, are expected to attend the Victory Day event. The Ukrainian government did not immediately comment on the reported attack, but local officials said Russia carried out overnight drone attacks on civilian targets. At least one person was killed and infrastructure damaged after a Russian strike on Odessa, according to the regional governor. Several houses were reportedly damaged and fires broke out. The mayor of Kharkiv said Russia carried out drone attacks on the city, injuring at least 4 people and damaging business premises, a shopping centre and civilian homes.
Sudan's paramilitary rebel group RSF launched drone attacks on the Red Sea city of Port Sudan on Tuesday morning, military officials reported. The airport, a hotel and a port were all apparently hit in the attacks. According to local media, the strikes also ignited fires. There have been no reports yet of casualties or of the full extent of the damage. Port Sudan also serves as an interim seat for Sudan's military allied government. Information Minister Khalid Al-Issa accuses the United Arab Emirates of arming the paramilitary RSF, claims the UAE has rejected. A similar attack had already happened on Sunday on the Red Sea port city. Since April 2023, at least 24,000 people have been killed.
As the Trump administration pushes forward with its mass deportation plans, it now says it will pay illegal immigrants $1,000 to return to their home countries. The Department of Homeland Security said it would also pay for travel assistance, and that people who use an app called CBP Home would be deprioritized for detention and removal by immigration authorities. Trump made immigration enforcement and mass deportation a centerpiece of his campaign, but the execution remains costly. The Department of Homeland Security said it costs over $17,000 to arrest, detain, and remove someone who is in the U.S. illegally. Paying someone to leave voluntarily would cost much less, but critics question the strategy's effectiveness. One 2011 study found that similar programs around the world generally failed at encouraging large numbers of people to leave.
In the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps,
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has directed the active duty military to shed 20% of its four-star general officers. He also told the National Guard to shed 20% of its top positions and directed the military to cut an additional 10% of its general and flag officers across the force. The move is a continuation of deep cuts to senior ranks at the Pentagon since the start of Donald Trump's second term as president. Hegseth says the cuts will promote efficiency, but critics worry they could result in a more politicized force. Trump or Hegseth have already fired several top general officers since January, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the U.S. Army's only two female four-star officers. Hegseth claimed in a memo on Monday that the aim was to free the military from unnecessary bureaucratic layers.
But that does not mean
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi visited Islamabad to hold talks with senior Pakistani officials in an effort to mediate tensions with neighboring India. Tensions have spiked in recent weeks after an attack in Pahalgam claimed the lives of 26 people. The visit is the first by a foreign dignitary in the wake of the deadly attack in the Indian disputed region of Kashmir. Islamabad reaffirmed its commitment to peace but warned that it will resolutely respond to any violation of its territory or sovereignty.
Pakistan will resolutely defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity in exercise of the inherent right of self-defense as enshrined in the Article 51 of the UN Charter.
The comments came after a senior Pakistani minister revealed recently that intelligence indicates an Indian attack may be imminent. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged both parties to de-escalate and make decisions that prioritize peace and human life.
Now is the time for maximum restraint and stepping back from the brink. That has been my message in my ongoing outreach with both countries. Make no mistake, a military solution is no solution. And I offer my good offices to both governments in the service of peace.
Both countries have been on high alert to maintain preparedness in the case of any attack. India has ordered several states to conduct military drills as Pakistan continues to carry out missile tests. Araghchi is set to visit New Delhi in the coming days to meet officials and explore ways to restore peace.
Making Europe a magnet for researchers. This is the ambition of the Choose Europe strategy presented by the President of the European Commission at the Sorbonne University in Paris. Although she did not explicitly refer to the attacks on academic freedom in the US, Ursula von der Leyen announced that she wanted to enshrine the freedom of scientific research in a new European Act.
The first priority is to ensure that science in Europe remains open and free. This is our calling card. We must do everything we can to uphold it, now more than ever before. We want to strengthen the free movement of knowledge and data across Europe, just as we do for goods, talents and capital across our single market.
The European Commission puts on the table a €500 million package. The long-term objective is to spend 3% of EU GDP on research and development investment by 2030. However, researchers believe that there are other elements to be considered.
Anybody who comes and they come into one country, they should also then be able to move to any other country with their pensions, with all their entitlements. So those are the three things: mobility, infrastructure, and funding.
Finally, the Commission wants to cut red tape to support research and innovation, even though clear laws can be an asset, according to this researcher.
We have that regulatory certainty that is missing in a lot of other places, and especially in the US. And I think this can not only should give more confidence to consumers, but may also give more confidence to researchers and to business people that they know the limits and the opportunities that they have given the laws.
For his part, Emmanuel Macron announced that the French state would invest an additional €100 million in R&D by 2030. The French president was more direct in his condemnation, not hesitating to call the abolition of research programs in the United States a mistake on the pretext that they use the term diversity.